Hello, and welcome to TableTalk Friday, your weekly dose of D&D hosted by three boys in a bedroom. If you like their style, you can follow them on Instagram, YouTube, and other social media platforms. And now, back to the boys.
I had my first colonoscopy at 23 years old, and it was wild. It was insane. The nurses all laughing at me as they wheel me into a procedure room, and I go, "Let's do this, team," raising my hand in the air in victory. And they all laughed. It was great. And let me tell you, the one thing I wanted to talk about on the podcast that was important to me was the fact that I was terrified to be put under. Anesthesia scares me. I'm a little bit somnophobic. Sleeping scares me in general. And they told me all about the anesthesia. My heart rate is up to like 100 BPM as I'm sitting there like talking to the anesthesia person whose name I forgot. I bet it's on this piece of paper. One second. Like, I gotta find her name.
You gonna give her
to
a
give
shout
her
out?
a shout out. Yeah. Carol, the anesthesia lady.
Carol Eric. I think is what you meant.
Carol was wonderful and explained to me what was going to happen with the whole anesthesia thing. And she did not tell me how euphoric I was going to feel the second they stuck me with that sweet, sweet anesthesia. Because I was laying there. And now this is like an offshoot anesthesia that doesn't make you like super like groggy or super like nauseous afterwards. So it was like, I forgot what they call it. It sounded like an F sound or something like that. So whoever's a doctor in the audience will know what that means. But they put this stuff in, and my whole body starts to get this like warm tingle, and I was like, "Oh, it's nap time, baby!" And then I lean over. I remember I started a dream, and then woke up from the dream in like 5 seconds, and then the whole procedure was over. Colonoscopy done. And let me tell you, it was very fun. I had a great time. Anyone, if you need, if you've got some concerns about your internal organs, please just go get a colonoscopy. You'll have a great time. And that's how I wanted to intro this episode.
So you feel good? Do you feel whiter?
No, I actually don't feel whiter. I do feel lighter because I had to fast the entire day yesterday and drink that gross stuff.
Okay. Hopefully they didn't leave any tools in your intestines there.
Yeah,
I've heard of that happening before.
Yeah, I hate it when they like. I hear some people like get hammers and forks left in their intestines.
Oh shoot! We actually left the GoPro in there. Oh.
Do you actually think they take a whole GoPro inside of your body?
Absolutely.
It is called the large intestine.
Exactly. They wouldn't call it large if it wasn't big enough to fit a GoPro.
They left the stream on too, so it's really, really messing
Jeez,
you up right now.
Dude.
Wait. So they're streaming this episode of the podcast right now. They're hearing it before anyone else. That's crazy.
Carol's a lucky girl.
Carol was very nice. She was awesome. She really set me at ease and gave me the great anesthesia experience that I was looking for.
Okay. Did you get to promote the podcast at the doctor's office?
No, I did not. I didn't happen to tell them when I went in that hey, did you know I have a D&D podcast that I do every Friday?
Do they take you seriously at that point? Or like, oh, he's just loopy. It's fine.
I think this this wasn't like the anesthesia. Like I wasn't loopy at all. Like I felt like I was just waking up on a normal morning. But
really,
yeah, I wasn't loopy. I did all this stuff on purpose. Like me pumping my fist in the air when I get in the office room and being like, "Let's do this, team." Like that was just regular Seth. That was just a saline IV in my arm.
So you felt totally fine when you came out of it. Like you didn't feel loopy at all. Not silly.
No.
Not even like late at night when you're just feeling a little.
No,
loops.
literally, I woke up. I was like, the only thing I said that was dumb as fuck and I thought was hilarious was I looked at the nurse and I went, "I'm tired. I'm going back to bed." And I rolled over and she goes, "No, the doctor has to ask you questions." And I was like, I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that. And then like 3 seconds went by. He comes in and like we conversed for a while. But no, I woke up. She was like, "Okay, I'm gonna close the curtain. Like, you can go ahead and get dressed." I got dressed and I went out to the car. Like, they took me in a wheelchair, even though I could stand just fine and like walk just fine. And then I went out to the car and I got breakfast with my mom.
Okay, that worked out.
Oh, by the way, have you tried Famous Toastery? Like right in Birkdale?
I think I've been there once before.
Yes, I have.
I tried it for the first time today. I got their little breakfast pizza. and it was wonderful. I haven't found a lot of breakfast places around here that I like. New York bagels, pretty good.
I can't say I've ever had a breakfast pizza. Are those common?
I used to get them in high school at QT all the time because they serve them like by the slice in their little warmer machine, and it's basically like a piece of pizza with like cheddar cheese or whatever, sausage or like sausage, turkey sausage, whatever topping you want, some sort of breakfast topping, could be bacon, and then sausage gravy.
I feel like that's an uncommon item for sure.
What? Yeah, no. The only reason I realized it was a thing was because I went to QT in the mornings. But when back when I was a big boy in high school,
Big boy go to QT.
big boys go to QT.
Yeah.
They get
Where it's
they
at,
get the big gulp. Is that what it's called? No, it's the big Q.
The big Q.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Q?
Please, we're not advertising for 7-Eleven.
Yeah, I think 7-Eleven is the one we're thinking of.
We're advertising for QT, our first sponsor, QT.
Nope, don't claim that. QT is not a sponsor.
Not yet.
Could you imagine though? We could get so many big Qs. The first thing we do with whatever money we get is we're going to spend it all on big Qs, and we just go in and buy like 100 of them.
I feel like that would be a very confusing sponsor for our podcast.
Well, not if they happen to sell D20s there or something.
Yeah. Go to QT today and pick up your copy of Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse.
That brings me to a question. Has there ever been a cereal with a prize that included like a D20 or a set of dice?
I don't think so. I don't know of them. But I also
so
never
cool.
had a cereal as a kid where there was a prize inside.
I remember it was a thing for a little bit when I was a kid, and I would reach in and it would be something stupid like a bookmark or like a chip clip or something like that. And
wow.
And I wanted like a toy. Like I wanted a real man toy.
I remember getting a toy car once. I think
rad.
it was a bowl of honeycomb. Oh, and they did have the lightsaber spoons. With,
I did have one of
heard
those.
of those.
I had a lightsaber spoon.
Yeah, I forget what cereal it was.
Oh, well, we all had it,
Yeah.
Product of the time.
Exactly.
Nowadays, they give you just calories and sugar.
I
Gross.
imagine they stopped putting prizes in there just because kids ended up eating the toys. But I wonder how they would eat the toys because they were always outside of the bag.
You have so little faith in kids. The kids would. That's why there's no more. The kids are smart now. They're stealing the toys.
What do you mean they're stealing?
They're putting
the toys?
prizes in there, and all the kids are getting to them. They're getting to them. That's what it's
They're
got to
just
be.
running over to the shelf, opening the cereal
That's
box.
what I'm
taking the
assuming.
prizes
I
out?
haven't seen a toy in so long. It's what it's gotta be.
Please. No, they're heisting the delivery truck.
Oh.
Too many cameras in the store.
Oh,
Like,
no.
kids are good nowadays.
Kids are so smart.
I'm just imagining just like a swarm of children just running around this truck, taking all the packages out.
No,
of it,
it's like
running away.
100 of them, and they kick the truck at the same time, so it falls over.
I feel like we would hear about it if
The
that
Voltron
was the tactic.
It's the Voltron of kids.
No, it's the Wonderful 101, everyone's favorite game from the Nintendo Wii U.
I've heard Wonderful 101 was a great game.
That's what I heard.
And I won't play it.
No, neither will I.
I do want to play The World Ends With You, though, which I think is the same developer. Maybe it's not the same developer. But World Ends With You is supposed to be really good. And there's a Nintendo Switch version, which is really bad.
I want to explore the Nintendo Switch, but I don't want to explore the Nintendo Switch.
It sits in our living room every day.
It's so far, dude. It's like 3 feet from my Xbox.
I love how you say explore, like it's been undiscovered this whole time.
Well, I've never played it, really. I've
Yeah, I
only
was gonna
done
say-
maybe 1 or 2 things on it.
we played Mario Party on it and Jackbox, I think, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's probably it. I was
mean-
tempted by Mystery Dungeon, the new Mystery Dungeon remakes.
Yeah.
I was really tempted.
I mean, you got to watch me play a lot of Hades.
Yeah, that was on the Switch, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Hades is on everything now, and it's on Game Pass. But
See, but I'll watch Hades because you can play Hades on other consoles. You know?
oh yeah, the second you see something exclusive, you just black out the screen.
Yeah, I don't want anything exclusive to Nintendo. Absolutely
Yeah,
not.
this is a little known fact about mine and Drew's roommate relationship. Actually, whenever I turn on a Nintendo game on the TV screen, he says, "Would you put that in handheld mode, please?"
Every time.
Is that a fact? I almost believe it.
Could you imagine though? He looks at me and goes, "Put it in handheld mode. I don't want to see that."
That's for babies.
That's games, but babies.
It really just, when I see people holding it in their hand in the handheld mode, it makes me think of just playing a Game Boy, and I would so much rather just play my Game Boy than sit there playing the Switch.
The Switch has like Game Boy games, but better.
But there are still games that I want to beat on my Game Boy that I haven't beaten yet.
That's because you only play Dead by Daylight.
And if they made Dead by Daylight on the Game Boy, I would play it there too.
You know what they have on the Switch? Dead by Daylight. You can play it on everything. You can play it in handheld mode.
But I could play it on the Xbox instead, and it'd be 10 times better.
Well, I wouldn't say 10 times better, but it does probably look better and have better frame rate, because I remember looking at Dead by Daylight on your Xbox One, and that was a travesty.
No, we don't talk about that. Going back, I can't believe I ever did that. The frame difference is insane.
He would look at me and go, "Oh yeah, it's glitching," and I'm like, "You're calling it glitching, but your fucking Xbox just can't run it." I was looking at it and I was like, "No, it's like skipping frames. It's like
That's as
shaking.
good as
like,
it gets.
He was like, "I think it's our internet. I think it's lag," and I was like, "No, that's not lag. Your Xbox can't handle it. Like that's all it is." And then the second he got the Series X, it was like, "Oh, yeah, you were right." And I was like, "I know. I'm like a computer guy. Like I know that."
It's so much better. If you guys are thinking about getting an Xbox Series X, do it. It's great. It's
Well, I'll
wonderful.
just get any next gen console if it goes in stock, and then sell it to other people like a scalper.
But triple the price.
Exactly.
But triple the price. Okay, guys, we have a big topic to get into today. So welcome to Table Talk Friday. We're going to be talking about Mordenkainen presents Monsters of the Multiverse, which is an amalgamation of a lot of different monsters, races, all kinds of different stuff from the D&D universe thrown into one book. Well, D&D multiverse. Excuse my French. How are you boys doing today? Drew, you had a very long day at work.
Long day at work, but I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the multiverse. We did actually see Doctor Strange recently, so I feel like I'm in the right zone to read this book.
Zach?
I'm doing great. And you know, we'll get into it in just a minute, but I'm just a bundle of mixed feelings about this book. On the one hand, I'm just so excited, and on the other hand, I'm just so, you know.
So, I'll say, why don't we round table a little bit? Drew has read the book for about 5 minutes, so a lot of the information I feel like Zach and I are going to give is mostly new to him. He hasn't gotten to take a good look at it. But upon first impression, so I sat down and read through all the races today and just kind of skimmed through the monsters, especially monsters that like really piqued my interest, things that had lore behind them, especially like ones that were depicted by like certain characters and whatnot. Upon first impressions, I'm looking at it and I appreciate this book because it has all the stuff I want in one place, so I don't have to go through 5 books for it. But what I don't like about the book is that a lot of this stuff is repeats from other things. So I know that's what was announced. That's what they said in their press releases a long time ago. But yeah, some of the things that I thought were brand new in here were from just other books and put in one place. So for new DMs, new people on the market, this book is amazing. For people like me and Zach and Drew who own everything, it's a good book. You know, some rebalancing, some new stat blocks and stuff. But yeah, that's kind of my first thoughts.
Well, yeah, and so right out of the gate, the thing to be excited about is the updated races. There are some that are fairly controversial. I've been told, so
Really?
I've heard. But for the most part, just a general sweep of all the races. They've been rebalanced. Most of them have become more powerful than they were originally. You know what? I would go so far as to say that every race is at least a little bit more powerful than it was at certain levels. But some races have been rebalanced for better or for worse. And there's just a lot of good options now that I definitely appreciate. So right out of the gate, I'm very happy with the list of races here. I almost wish that they just went ahead and threw in the player's handbook ones too. Just because now I'm not so sure. Like, are we gonna wait for Player's Handbook 2.0 for the updates to them, or what's coming later down the pipeline? Well, I almost feel like they're not quite strong enough now compared to all these very well balanced and feature heavy races.
And what's even more confusing about that is the fact that they changed dragonborns in Fizzbands. So we got all new dragonborns in Fizzbands, and now we've got all these rebalanced races here. So it's like everything except Dragonborns in the player's handbook kind of needs to be redone now.
Yeah, and at the same time, why not throw them in there or in this book? Because you're gonna make me. Well, I know why not, because they just released Fizzbands. They want to keep selling that for the Dragonborn. But this is a very convenient book for most of the options. but there's still some confusing exclusions that I'm scratching my head a little bit. Just why not throw them all in there? If this is going to be the compilation book that really is just a compilation book, it doesn't have, as deep lore as the previous books that had these races in it. It doesn't have, anything else. It's just the races and the bestiary, and that's it.
Yeah, so we'll get into details on that in a second. But Drew, upon your 5-minute skimming, what are your first impressions?
Okay, it's pretty cool. I agree with you guys on a lot of points. I think it's a bit repetitive. And overall, I don't mind the repetition of a lot of the things. What I do mind on a negative side is that they reused a lot of the artwork, which personally is one of my favorite pieces of a lot of the books, is seeing all the new imagery and getting to see what a sorcerer Goliath looks like, just something different,
Yeah, I will say that any monster that's in here from like Volos is the exact same artwork. Like, and same for ones that were used in Descent into Avernus, and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, a lot of the bestiary, the artwork is the exact same, and I agree that when I look through and I want to see the monsters, I'm always hoping there's going to be something different, because we talked about this a little bit earlier, that in the Tome of Foes, I believe it was, the Zariel artwork in there was like, that's all right, and then we looked at the Zariel artwork in Avernus, and it's like, oh, that's really good, and now the Zariel artwork that's in Monsters of the Multiverse is also really nice and really good, but it's the same as the Avernus. As the Avernus artwork, like a different picture, would be appreciated. And I know there's plenty online, especially like fan-made stuff to choose from.
Yeah, we can easily see why they elected to release this as a part of a bundle instead of a standalone book. I think it would have lacked some punch if they were trying to sell it as a standalone product. But at launch, it's $30. So it's definitely not a full price D&D book. It's definitely a supplement for those who want it. So.
Yeah, and I think it's the perfect addition for someone who's getting brand new into DMing. And in that bundle, the player's handbook plus Tasha's plus this, you've got a perfect campaign on your hands.
For sure. I will say there is some artwork that I don't recognize in the races section, and I'm not sure if that's just because...
No, the races, I believe there was a lot of new stuff. Now, the Harengon artwork is reused, I believe...
The Goliath artwork as well.
Goliath artwork. I'm not sure about the... I know Goblin is new, I think. The Firbolg and Fairies are the same as their respective books. So, yeah, a lot of the racist stuff is reused. I believe the Satyr and the, like, Minotaur, lizardfolk, things like that, those are new. So there is some new stuff. I'm not saying everything is reused, but, yeah, I would prefer to see new coats of paint.
For sure. And I'm not entirely sure about Satyr either. I almost feel like I remember that from Mythic Odysseys of Theros, but I'm not. I don't own that book, so I'm not entirely sure.
Right. So why don't we just go ahead and dive into the races first off? I'm going to go ahead and list off from top to bottom all of the races, and then we can kind of talk about ones that are of note to us. We don't have to go through every single one in depth, or else we'll be here till 10 o'clock, and I have to be asleep at 9:30 p.m. So,
like a little baby.
No, like a 4:30 a.m. baby. Aarakocra, Ozimar, Bugbear, Centaur, Changeling, Deep Gnome, Duragar, Dwergar, whatever you want to call it, Eladrin, Fairy, Firbolg, all 4 Genasi, so air, earth, water, and fire, Githyanki, Githzerai, Goblin, Goliath, Harengon, Hobgoblin, Kenku, Kobold, Lizardfolk, Minotaur, Orc, Satyr, Sea Elf, Shaderkai, Shifter, Tabaxi, Tortle, Triton, and Yuan Ti. That is a lot of new races, or not new, but like of races to get all in one book. I didn't even count how many that was, but it's a lot. I'm thankful for the lore provided for a lot of these, because a lot of them I would not have been able to explain to you before I read through it, and all the ones I didn't understand, I did read through earlier today. So I think what we've got here is very exciting. Specifically for me, I love the rebalancing of the Genasi. I think the new Genasi are very cool. Now, they swapped out Water Genasi's cantrip for Shape Water to Acid Splash.
Aww.
And I'm not very excited about that, because I think Shape Water is infinitely cooler. And that's my complaint.
Why did they take away Shape Water? That was one of the coolest parts of the Water Genasi.
Well, looking through, I get where they're coming from, because they also added, I believe, Water Walk, which they didn't get before. So,
right.
To add on to that, I think they were just trying to make them more diverse. So they've got their acid resistance. It makes sense that they'd have like a damaging water attack.
Yeah,
that they
I
can
just
do.
liked the waterbender-esqueness of a water genasi, you know? And now I don't get that as much. I liked being able to control the water and the current around me if I needed to. But you know what? I'm not going to complain that much because all the stuff that the genasi got is pretty cool.
And you know, just on the topic of genasi, my favorite addition in this whole book and what is going to be my next character, I think I've even mentioned it on the podcast before, I really love the flavor of Earth Genasi, and now they kick so much ass. So
More than before?
Yeah. So, I mean, before they didn't really have that much going for them. They had Pass Without Trace that they could cast at will once per long rest, and I think that's about it. They their cantrip was doo-doo butter. I forget what it was before, but it wasn't great. But now...
Zach, who needs a cantrip when you pass without trace, though? That's all you need.
It's a fantastic spell, and now they can use spell slots to cast it. So what they've gotten now is their cantrip has been changed to Blade Ward, which the Earth Genasi is the only Genasi that doesn't have a natural elemental resistance. But they can cast Blade Ward as normal, and they can also cast it as a bonus action a number of times equal to their proficiency bonus. You can use a bonus action to give yourself resistance to, I believe, all piercing, bludgeoning, and slashing damage on your turn a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. That's insane. And then in addition to that, they can still use Pass Without Trace, and they can use any intelligence, wisdom, or charisma as their spellcasting mod for that, and use any spell slots they have to cast it as well. And that is a trend for pretty much every spellcaster. If before there was a specific stat that they had to be associated with, now it's intelligence, wisdom, or charisma.
Okay, so this one sounds to me a little busted at first time hearing it.
Now-
it kind of makes me think of the old Ozimar.
Now, you're thinking busted, but listen. Let me explain to you my new favorite race that's in here that I got explained to me today. Now, what's my favorite race right now, Drew?
Elves.
Now, what if I told you there were elves from the Feywild called Eladrin, who all have really cool bonus action abilities and are basically the Genasi of the Feywild, because they get a Fey Step ability. As a bonus action, you can magically teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space you can see. You can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. But that is not it. There are 4 types of Eladrin: autumn, winter, spring, and summer.
Ooh.
And each one gets their own unique ability with their bonus action, like Misty Step. Now, one of the coolest ones is the, let's see, I believe it was the winter or spring. The winter one, you get when you use your Face Step, one creature of your choice that you see within 5 feet of you before you must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or be frightened until the end of your next turn. So basically, they have to make saves against stuff or else they get harmed. The summer one does fire damage within 5 feet of you when you teleport. The spring one, very cool, allows you to use your Face Step on someone else within 5 feet of you. So you touch them and they teleport 30 feet.
Ooh,
and then
okay.
the autumn one, immediately after the step, someone within 10 feet has to succeed on the saving throw or else they get charmed by you. So you teleport 30 feet right next to somebody. And it's like, hey, what's up, dude? And then all of a sudden they're your best friend. So
I kind of dig that. They're like modified Misty Steps.
yeah, exactly. Super cool. They have dark vision, which the Genasi also have dark vision now. I don't think they had that before.
All Genasi did not. Fire Genasi did, but they gave that to all of them now, which I definitely appreciate. And I will say Eladrin, mostly unchanged, I think, based on what I was reading. But like most races in this book now, their Face Step feature used to be a once per long rest sort of thing, but now you can use it a number of
Proficiency
times
bonus.
equal to your proficiency bonus, which really adds some kick to it. And most once per long rest features have now been extended to proficiency bonus, which is the main buff that most races will see from this.
Along that same line, Shader Kai, which are the Shadowfell versions of Eladrin, so they're the elves of the Shadowfell. They have a teleport 30 feet as well as a bonus action, which can be used the same way. Now listen to this. Starting at 3rd level, you also gain resistance to all damage. I repeat that, all damage,
What?
whenever you teleport using this trait. The resistance lasts until the start of your next turn. So during this time, you appear ghostly and translucent. So let's say we're in a typical D&D combat, right? Your proficiency bonus is +3. You're level 6. You teleport first round to get, close into combat and get a couple of hits, and you have resistance to all damage till your next turn. Next turn starts. Oh, the enemy you were in front of died. Teleport again. You have resistance to all damage. And then what happens on your third turn when you're about to kill the boss? Oh, you teleport again, and you have resistance to all damage. So the boss battles, you just save those up, and you're just a barbarian fighter for the entirety of the combat. Insanity. And it's so cool.
Now, how do we feel about this? Do we feel this is okay to have in a racial block?
Yes, because it's an elf.
Yeah, well, Shatterkai were busted before, but this was just a once per long rest thing. The proficiency bonus does make it very powerful, but I'll say it's not too much more powerful than some of the other options also available. So I'll allow it.
Now, what happens if I use this ability while raging?
I don't think it would do anything, I guess,
it
right?
doesn't stack, but...
Okay.
But you do your rage damage now.
Oh, wait, because it's all damage, so instead of just, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing, now all damage is halved.
Yeah.
That's true. I didn't think about that. That would actually be a better barbarian, technically.
Yeah, including psychic if you're a bear totem barbarian.
Yep, there you go. So...
This sounds like a build, boys.
I'm just saying, Shatterkai Barbarian is in the meta.
In the metaverse. I'm sorry I said that too.
One that does creep me out are the sea elves, though.
What creeps you out about them? I thought for sure that you'd be all into them.
No, I already have Genasi, so I don't need Genasi for sea elves. So sea elves, like basically the way they explain it in the lore is blah blah blah. Elf god is adaptable. Elf god sends elves to planet. Elves go wherever they want. So no matter what environment they are in, over time they can adapt to it. So certain elves had an affinity for the sea, so the elves dove into the sea. And now, after some time and adapting to their natural environment, now elves can breathe and swim in sea. It's weird. I don't want to play it. We have Tritons.
Well. So here's my thing. I feel like sea elves are actually the preferable Triton, because what Triton used to have, I believe, they had cold resistance because they were well adapted to the depths of the sea. But sea elves have that now too, and they have their Fey ancestry and their trance.
You see,
and they have their proficiency in perception. So Triton are and they both can talk to all creatures with a swimming speed.
And that's my issue with sea elves. Why have them? Because Tritons are cooler.
For sure. And so sea elves, I
just
can
make the Tritons as good as the sea elves.
Yeah, and they mostly are, but I feel like
Give the Tritons a trance where they continue swimming while they're sleeping, and they continue at a consistent movement speed, right? Like a shark.
I was thinking make them more like sharks, but if they stop swimming, they just die.
So the only difference with Triton, obviously they don't have the elf features, but they do get some innate spells, so they can cast Fog Cloud, Gust of Wind, and Water Walk. So not terrible, but not cooler than a sea elf. Honestly, I'm torn between them. I feel like they've always been very much alike, and they look very much alike. So unless there's a very convincing Triton character that shows up in some book, I really have no reason to care about either of them.
No, I prefer Tritons because I see them as really cool Atlantis mer people. That's kind of how I see Tritons. And then you bring sea elves in, and I'm like, well, it's just a blue skinned elf in the water. And I don't know. I'm just like, I don't care about that. You can keep using elves as much as you want. Just don't make them weird.
Yeah, and you see, I think this is very funny to hear you say. I completely agree, but Mr. I love Eldred and Shatterkai now.
Yeah, well, I like those because they're like different elves. They do different magic stuff, and if there's anything I like about elves, it's how magical they are. So they have these cool bonus action Misty Step abilities, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. This is fun.
That's true.
So
I'm gonna agree. I'm gonna agree here. Now, keep in mind, I really hate elves. I don't like playing elves. I think they're really boring. I don't feel like they have...
But what about one that's a Shatterkai from the Shadowfell?
See, that's where I'm going with it, though. If you make different elves that are vastly different, I'm into it. I kind of want to check them out, right? But the sea elf, like you said, is exactly like a Triton. We already have fish people. We already have people that are water-based. I want to see space elves. I want to see elves that I don't know, have a dig speed. I want to see something totally different, you know?
Well, you want to talk? Oh man, that was nice.
I'd love to, Seth.
First of all, I have a question before I bring up what I was going to bring up. Did goblins always have nimble escape?
They did. And so goblins were one of the races where I feel like they were slightly nerfed. But also there's an interesting new thing where now they're fey. So
I was just wondering because nimble escape is great. I didn't even realize goblins had that where you can disengage or hide as a bonus action. And I was like, oh, that's like a little cunning action for him. They just can't dash.
I don't know if I can get past the fey thing. It's really giving me a Jigglypuff turned into a fairy type later on kind of a thing. Like it just changed the typing on it.
I mean, goblins were fey creatures at first.
But they don't strike me as fey creatures. They don't strike me as magical beings, right? Which is what I think of when I think fey.
Oh,
I
I'm
think
sorry
they're-
that this specific race has to fit into your box, Drew.
Well, I forgive you. You know, it's fine. But I expect them to conform to my idea of what a goblin is.
Oh my god, I hate you. Cut that out, me.
I mean, so for one, I think that goblins are actually, in my mind, they've always been fey. I feel like if fey is going to be a unique monster type, then why not goblins? Because goblins are just as much fairy folk as, like friggin' satyrs and anything else. I feel like they're very much like a fairy tale creature, as opposed to orcs. Orcs wouldn't show up in a fable, but goblins definitely would.
I think I don't like that they're getting away from the staple of what a goblin is, though. Because to me, when you're starting off low levels, when you run into goblins, you're stoked for it. There's something you can probably beat a couple of them really easy, or you could trick them. There's a lot about it that is just, I don't know, it just really sticks to the idea of
How are
what
they
D&D
changing that?
is. By changing the fact that they're now fey, to me, that magical idea, I don't expect to run into them in every cave I go in, right? They seem less common. They seem more unique when I feel like they had a special role in the community before, if that makes sense.
I don't feel like that's taken away by making them fey.
Well, it's not that they're, inherently fey. Their creature type is fey now, or, oh, no, it's not.
It's not?
No, their creature type is still humanoid. Cut that from the record. But they're
Zach, I read this and I believe you.
no, I thought for sure, but they do have Fey ancestry now, so they're descendant from the Feywild, and just like elves, they have like a residual.
And it's the same for hobgoblins and bugbears.
I'm okay with that.
But nilbogs are Fey.
What is what's a nilbog?
Spell goblin backwards. They're from the Fey.
It's the same backwards.
Yeah, they're little trickster, spellcaster fairy goblins.
Okay, that's interesting. But that's different though. I like that. They're branching out with the goblins and creating different kinds.
Now, can I mention first of all that the hobgoblin artwork, while I don't want to talk too much about hobgoblins, which I think their stuff in here is very cool, the hobgoblin artwork is great in here. It's just a friendly looking hobgoblin.
So here, I would actually love to talk about hobgoblins for an extended period
Yeah, sure, go
of
ahead.
time.
He looks so nice. He looks like a nice guy.
Before we move on to hobgoblins, I just want to say the Fury of the Small for goblins, it was nerfed. It used to be you do an extra amount of damage up to your level. So at level 20, you do 20 extra damage as a goblin. But now it's your proficiency bonus. So significantly nerfed, but better at first level.
Can you do it more per day though?
Yeah, you can do it. Well, I don't remember the limitation on it for. It was probably once per short or long rest, I think.
Oh, I feel like if you're doing less damage, you should be able to do it a couple more times.
Yeah, but now you can do it a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus.
All right, go ahead on your hobgoblin rant.
All right, so
You look like you're ready for this.
yeah, I've been thinking about it for a while, and so hobgoblins, one of my favorite flavored monsters, based on just generic low-level monsters, because they've got this whole militia. They're well coordinated. They're intelligent monsters. I love that thing about them. But now they're intrinsically tied to the Fae, and they have a Fae gift, which is it takes the form of when they take the help action, they can use a special feature basically as a part of that. And I really just feel like this is a class feature for a bard. It doesn't make sense that all. If I wanted to take that original flavor of hobgoblin, the militant or militant, cunning mercenary, and say, here's my little fey gift. It just doesn't tie in the same way.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So I love the art of this particular hobgoblin bard. I would love to play this hobgoblin bard, but not every hobgoblin is a hobgoblin bard in my mind.
Right. No, I agree with you that like I don't want every single one to be flavored in that way. But I mean I like the ability as is.
Oh, for sure. I do like the ability. So they get when they use the help action. Let's see, they can do it a number of times equal to their proficiency bonus. They can do it as a bonus action on their turn, which is nice.
Which is one thing I like about the races in this book is that at first level you have bonus action options, like from the get-go. From the get-go, most of these races have a bonus action option for you.
For sure. And so it's diverse. The one other thing I'll say about it, there's too much words as a part of it. You have 4 separate options as a bonus action that you can do twice at level 1. That's going to take up half of the features and traits section on my character sheet, and I haven't even written a single class feature yet.
And at level 1, these are very good abilities. At late levels, you're going to forget you have it because it's menial damage and temporary hit points and stuff.
Yeah, so it definitely not bad, but I'm just a little confused, especially because it seems like the direction that Wizards was sort of going with this book was, well, no race is a monolith. No, characters are exactly the same. But I feel like they've really pigeonholed hobgoblins into like this weird thing that they weren't before.
Well, I guess you can still flavor that ability though, instead of it being a bard like thing, making it into a militia type deal, like let's teamwork, let's go get them.
Oh, for sure. So I see where they're going with it. Really, I think it's just the flavoring of it. That's my issue. Like if they called it, Warlord's Command, it'd make perfect sense to me.
See, but then Warlord's Command sounds more like, so my goblin has to be a militiaman.
Yeah, so there's no way to win. But it's just a little confusing to me.
I guess I would maybe call it like something inspiration, just like a bardic inspiration type deal, and just call it like a general hobgoblin inspiration or
inspiring leader.
Yeah, just like the feat. Something that I didn't know they were actually bringing these into Monsters of the Multiverse until I got my copy. Changelings are here officially, and I am a big fan of what I'm going to see you guys do with changelings in the future, because I want someone to play a changeling. Whether you guys tell the party that you're playing a changeling or not is really cool to me. And I think that while changelings just give you ultra self at will, so you don't need that spell ever again in your whole life, it is very cool to me that you literally if you're playing a changeling, you're a shape changer. You probably have an original form, which is a pale skin generic looking thing. I can't really explain it. A doppelganger basically, and then on top of that, you can change your form between small and medium and make yourself look like whatever you want. You can even change sex and height and race. Like, it's crazy. I love it, and I would absolutely play a changeling if I ever played in a campaign.
Yeah, and I really do like that. So really the only change from Eberron to this book, they took away the stipulation that they have to be medium size. So now you can go from small to big. I think that's awesome.
Oh, okay.
Definitely makes sense for a changeling. The one stipulation is your clothes do not change. So if you shift from like a big size person to a small size person, you might be swimming in your pants. But otherwise, very effective, very cool feature. And they also this is just something that I saw off the top of my head, so I have to call it out. They get the option to take proficiency in performance now if they really want to.
Yeah,
which makes sense for a changeling, I think.
So I'm going to be honest, for a while when we were playing in Eberron, I definitely thought shifters and changelings were the same thing.
They sound like the same thing.
So from my understanding, changelings are more like people shifters, while shifters are animal shifters.
No. So changelings are literally just shapeshifters. You can change into basically whatever you want.
Oh,
okay.
At
small and medium size, you can change into a humanoid of whatever you want. So I could just look like you right now if I was a changeling. Shifters are descendants of lycanthropic bloodlines. So you might be the son of a werewolf. Like your dad was a werewolf, he had a kid, and now you have the ability to basically rage out into a shifter form every now and then. Whenever I think it's proficiency per day.
Yep, yeah,
as
which
a
is
bonus
also-
as a bonus action proficiency per day, you can choose a number of abilities to go off of, and you get like a shifter form.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So the changelings are more like a race of people, while the shifters are more so affected by something like a curse or a werewolf or something like that.
Yeah, sort of, kind of.
Yeah,
that's cool.
except they're not cursed and they're like a race of people now.
Yeah,
But-
and it's very
okay.
cool. I would love to play some form of shifter in the future, whether that's like I would love to play one that's not like a human portrayed as like a human or an elf. I would love to play one that's like one of the monstrous races who shifts. That would be really cool. Like you're a lizard folk and you change into like a werewolf form at the same time. I just think that's a fun idea.
Oh, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm thinking like a friggin' a firbolg, who is like a bear.
Yeah. Or a boar where like his skin gets like hide underneath or something like that. That's
Sure.
cool. Or he gets like tusks. I mean,
Yeah.
that's cool. But yeah, shifters are cool. They're also in this book. I wanted to ask you, Zach. So is this a change? I'm not sure what the old things look like. Like my memory's fuzzy about it. For fairies and Aarakocra, they're flying speeds, correct? So now they cannot fly unless they're wearing light armor or no armor.
Correct, and that's always been the case. But Aarakocra did get a significant debuff, which thank God they did. Not that the flying is not the issue, but at base, Aarakocra had a flying speed of 50 feet at level 1. So now their flying speed is equal to their walking speed, and they can't wear medium or heavy armor while they're flying, which I think is a perfectly fine upgrade. Additionally, their talons now do a d6 plus their strength rather than a d4. That's true for all races in this book if they've got a like a special weapon.
Claws, bite, something like
Hooves,
that.
yeah. It's all a d6 now, which I'm into. Because for some reason, lizardfolk got a d6 and no one else showed up to the party. So now they've just made everyone a d6.
And it makes it a viable option if you have to use it, as opposed to like, oh, well, it's just like an unarmed strike at lowest level,
Yeah, exactly. And you could take the unarmed fighting style and have better than that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that it makes sense that they upgraded it. And Aarakocra now they can cast Gust of Wind as a feature, which they couldn't do before.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm also a fan of centaurs having a 40-foot movement speed and satyrs having 35. It's just a nice change because it makes sense for them. It's like, okay, yeah, it's a horse. It goes faster. And then the same for satyrs is, yeah, I mean, satyrs are already known for being, like Billy Goat, Mountain Goat style. They can run faster. They can jump up things better. One of their abilities, I believe, their bonus action proficiency times per day, they can jump a lot high, or they can do like a super long jump or a super high jump as a bonus action, which is pretty cool. I like the idea of just force jumping around as a satyr.
Oh, for sure. And satyrs do seem very fun. I'm not entirely sure what all was changed, but as far as I saw, satyrs and centaurs and minotaurs were all mostly unchanged from their original versions.
Yeah, same for Kenku, I believe, in here. Kenku are pretty much unchanged, it looks like. Well, let's see. Expert duplication when you're copywriting a craft work. Yeah, that looks pretty much the same. Kenku Recall is pretty cool. I'm not sure if Beryl had that in our last campaign.
No, that is new.
Okay, yeah, I didn't think that one was there.
But when they make an ability check using any skill that they have proficiency in, they can give themselves advantage on the check before rolling. And they can do that a number of times up to their proficiency bonus per day. So
yeah, it's like we're getting a lot of these new proficiency abilities, which are really nice. I like the Kobold new ability, they get to choose between their craftiness, defiance, or draconic sorcery, which is super cool. It's just a Kobold legacy. So, Kobolds come from draconic bloodline. Craftiness, you have proficiency in one of the following skills of your choice: Arcana, Investigation, Medicine, Sleight of Hand, or Survival. So, extra proficiency. Defiance, you have advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the frightened condition on yourself, which is very nifty. Or Draconic Sorcery, one cantrip from your choice from the Sorcerer's spell list. So, I mean, all of those are just super nice little additions to your character. I'd probably end up going for Defiance myself. Just like, hey, anytime something tries to frighten me, gone. Like, I have advantage on it. I can get rid of this easy. I feel like that's a nice buff to a character, especially if you're playing... if you're already playing a spellcaster, you don't really need the extra cantrip. And then if you're playing a non-spellcaster, unless there's a cantrip that like really suits you well, you don't really need it.
yeah, and so this is the race that I've been hearing the most hubbub about. because the original kobold was a very interesting one.
Yeah.
And so their one additional feature is they can draconic cry. As a bonus action, enemies within 10 feet of you, you and your allies have advantage on attack rolls versus those enemies until the start of your next turn. And you can do that a number of times, equal to your proficiency bonus. So not insignificant. But what they had before was pack tactics and sunlight sensitivity. So essentially, a kobold in daylight next to his friend rolls like normal. A kobold in a dark area has advantage on literally everything.
See, when I think of kobolds, I always think of I'm not sure if they were the original ones or if they were the Unearthed Arcana version, but the ones where it was like groveling, they could sit there and basically beg you not to kill them, and then they had disadvantage on all their attacks. It was really funny.
Yeah, they had that too. It
so
was grovel, cower, and beg, which is pretty good. But they don't do that anymore. Now they're
So as
noble
far as the
dragons.
controversy you're hearing, is it because they like the old abilities better because they were better?
Yeah, and now, I mean, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find, especially Adventures League is adopting this. D&D Beyond is doing away with the old books that most of these races came from, Bolos and Mordenkainen and Stoma Foes. So now you really don't have the option to use the original one, even though you really liked it. So I can see where there's some concern about that. I will say there is one race that I'm a little disappointed about, but it's definitely a good change overall. I'm a little bummed because I really loved how busted it was before, and that's the Aasimar. So their healing ability and their extra damage that they do in their magical form used to do you heal an amount of hit points equal to your level, and you do an extra amount of damage equal to your level. That's fucking insane. It's a good thing they nerfed it. But here's the one thing. Their celestial transformation that they used to get used to take a full action to do, but now it's just a bonus action. And let's see. Nope. It's not a proficiency bonus thing. You only get one, but it's still very powerful. You can
very strong.
You can fly, do extra damage, a bunch of stuff depending on which one you choose. Additionally, I think this is a good time to point out as well. It seems like we're doing away with sub-races altogether. I don't know if it's because Wizards of the Coast doesn't like the word sub-race. Like it seems sort of weird, but Aasimar, now they don't have sub-races anymore. They just have different features they can pick. Races like Deep Gnomes are completely divorced from Gnomes. They have their whole own race block. So do Dwergar and any of the Elves we've talked about. They're no longer sub-races of those individual races. Now they're their own unique race.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about that too much, but yeah, no, I think you're right.
I'm wondering now how much work they put into balancing all of these, because since they're doing away with all these old books, it's making me wonder how long until they do this again, and they have to, I don't know if it's because of power creep or whatever it may be, they have to revamp the books and do it again.
Well, I think if and when they do said revamp, it would have to be a new edition at this point, like, because going through and rebalancing all of these like this, I think my prediction would be we're going to get a Player's Handbook 2.0 at some point, whether that looks like a brand new, whether it actually just says like Player's Handbook 2, or whether it's like 3, or it'd probably be like 5.5, right? Player's Handbook 5.5 or something like that.
Yeah, a lot of people have been speculating that 5.5e is going to come out at some point. I think that we're probably already in it. Ever since Tasha's, we've definitely been stepping away from like the original options. Really, all we need is just a Player's Handbook to officially say, hey, we got you. This is the new edition.
Yeah, I agree, because I like the additions in Tasha's. The only thing that we're missing right now is revamped versions of the old races, because I feel like all of these new options are way too cool for you to ever go back and play any of those. Like, I'm looking at all of these, and I'm like, when we play our Spelljammer campaign next year, no way do I expect any of you to pick, like, human. Like, come on. Why would you do that when you haven't played these options yet?
Exactly.
Even more than the original races, though, I am way more stoked about revamped original classes in the player handbook, because I feel like they simply don't compare to a lot of the Xanathars or Tasha's options now, or even Fizz.
Do you think
now.
you think they would change the old subclasses?
I think they would. I think they would at least balance them. I mean, if they're going all the way back and changing the races, why wouldn't they rebalance some of the older options that they have?
I think a lot of the older options are still better than the stuff in like Xanathars, though.
Yeah, I think it's more likely that they'll definitely update the verbiage. So, like, feats like Magic Initiate, where you can't use your spell slots to cast the spell you get, that'll obviously be changed. Little things like that, just to bring the old options up to snuff with the new options. But I agree. I think that mechanically and power speaking, the player's handbook options are still nothing to sneeze at.
Like, Open Hand Monk is way better than Sun Soul.
And I think it's a perfectly fair point, but if you look at the player handbook and you compare it to Tasha's, I really don't think it compares strength-wise. I mean, look at the Twilight Cleric, look at the Star Druid, look at the Rune Knights. I mean, there's some powerhouse classes in there, and I think it might be worth looking and just maybe revamping them a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, if they do that, I'm not gonna like be upset about it. I do like the original options, though. There's still original options that I look at and I go, oh, I'd still play that over some of the new stuff.
I think a lot of them are fantastic.
Like, the only reason I like the new stuff so much is because it's new. Like, I'm like, oh, well, I know what I know what a Star Druid, or not Star Druid, I know what a Circle of the Land Druid is. But, so why wouldn't I just play, like, one of the cool new ones? You know, the Fiend Warlock, why would I play that when I could be a Genie Warlock? That's cool. Fiend Warlock is so vanilla, you know what I mean?
It's true.
Okay, so there's a couple of races we haven't covered yet, and at this point, we may as well just go ahead and talk about the remaining ones we have and cover the rest of the book next week, because it's almost been an hour.
Well, you know, I don't know if I have that much to say about all the monsters in Volos and Mordenkainen's brought up again. So
I think we should discuss it at least.
Yeah.
Because I have stuff about the bestiary I do want to say. I think it could be a whole episode.
Okay. I will agree with you.
Yeah, so Centaur is here. We already talked about it a little bit, but they are medium in the book, which they count as large for sake of like carrying things and whatnot. But yeah, I guess they're smaller than we expected, because before I believe they were large, were they not?
I think they definitely were large. No,
no. When they were released as a player race, they've always been medium. Which,
okay.
Having a large by default, it just opens up a huge can of worms. Like, imagine a centaur with a glaive. And then a Rune Knight centaur with a glaive.
Yeah, well, that's just a bugbear.
That's true.
I mean, yes, you're correct. But they also, being large, just inherently, like, every character can do that as a centaur.
Yeah, of course,
very
of course.
specific build of a bugbear can do that.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I'm actually super glad Zach has that page open right there, because I love the art for the centaur in this new book. I feel like it was really needed, and I want to see more pictures of nice-looking centaurs, because when I think of the old centaur, I think of monstrosity. I think he's, he kind of fits in line with the minotaurs and the Goliaths. I want to see some nice, friendly horse people, man.
Well, and Centaur is not a race that I can ever just bring myself to play, I think.
It's not something I'm interested in playing either, as a matter of fact. Like, it's just not something that piques my interest.
Yeah, and I kind of don't want horse people, like, in my world.
No, I'm okay with centaurs existing. I'm cool with that, especially in our current campaign climate. I feel like they wouldn't fit in with the environment well. Like, a centaur walks into a bar, everybody's like, what the fuck? And
well,
it just doesn't really fit into
saying.
It doesn't really fit into the world we have right now. But say we do a Spelljammer adventure, I could see you guys going to a place where, there's a lot of centaurs and minotaurs here.
Well, that's completely different. If we're playing a Spelljammer campaign, everything fucking goes. I'm okay with everything.
But like I said, I don't anticipate bringing a centaur NPC anytime soon, because it's just like not the way we've built everything out. We've never used them, and yeah, I agree. They're much different than any other race that's in here. Same as minotaurs. Like, yeah, I think minotaurs even would be weird to see one in the Yawning Portal. Like, you walk in, it's like, oh, there's a minotaur here.
Right. These are monsters that have some reverence to them. Like, a centaur does not appear unless it wants to appear before you. Like, they're nomadic people who just live on the outskirts of society because there's nowhere in a town where they can be accommodated.
Yeah.
And same thing with minotaur. Like, even if it's a kind minotaur, that's a fucking minotaur. You're just
No,
gonna have a beer with a minotaur. If you do, it's a fucking event.
No,
I agree.
I understand that, especially in our world, but I say in a given world where it's like very fantastical like that, we can make it work.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
if say I don't know if you guys have ever seen the visual novel game Coffee Talk, but it's a very noir-esque visual novel where you're making coffee for fantasy creatures, and just it's a visual novel. You're having conversations and making choices. But in Coffee Talk, I could see just a minotaur walking into the bar, or I could it's sort of like in nowadays or 20 years in the future New York. And people are just walking in. There's elves, there's orcs. They come walking in. A guy from space that you barely know just comes walking in. He's like, "Hey, I'm from space," and that's literally it. That's his whole character. And he's just in a space outfit. But yeah, in that kind of world, yeah, centaur walks in, no big deal. In our specific fantasy setting right now, not yet. Maybe soon though. Maybe eventually we'll have a place where they fit in.
Yeah, and so here's my opinion about a lot of these races as well. I think that it's awesome to throw them in here, but they don't adapt perfectly for every campaign setting. Like, imagine a world where changelings are everywhere, and it's just accepted that there are people who aren't who they are.
Yeah, it would have to be a big exception. We play in a modified Forgotten Realms, so if you're in Forgotten Realms, it would be weird to have a changeling, like a lot of changelings around. So if like one of our player characters was a changeling, it would have to be an event, basically. Like, oh my god, you're this. You know, say we do Spelljammer, right? And you guys do choose to play a bunch of races from this book, and they're like wacky, crazy, zany races. Maybe there's a reason that you guys were the ones going to space, you know? Like, hey, they chose us to do this because whatever reason. I don't know. You guys come up with it whenever we get there. But yeah, I think that makes sense as like you guys are very unique, esteemed people. Whereas I don't know, just being in like the political intrigue in our world, a lot of these races, like we don't have just fairies all around all the time. We don't have a lot of fearbolgs walking around in ours. It's very much Forgotten Realms as written Forgotten Realms, with a little more things. I include orcs, goblins, lizardfolk, things like that in towns, of course, because I feel like those have become very, very much a part of our world. And who knows, maybe in the future we'll work some of these other ones into.
For sure, yeah. I'm not saying that they don't have any place, but I would just hesitate to say, well, it's in the book, so they've got to be everywhere. I mean,
Yeah.
Same thing with Tabaxi. You don't see Tabaxi in our world very often.
I treat
either.
Tabaxi how they're treated in Skyrim, where like it's like, okay, well they're sometimes here, and then they're sometimes just walking around. Like they exist, but they're very nomadic in the way you were saying earlier. I think we have to cover Githyanki. I think I'm saying that right. Is that right? Githyanki?
Yeah, Githyanki or Githyanki.
And then Githzerai, whatever they are. So these are two very important races, I believe, for space and the astral plane in general. Because here, I'll just go ahead and read through a little bit of this. Once members of a people who escaped servitude to mind flayers, Githyanki split from their cousins Githzerai and fled to the astral plane. In that timeless silvery realm, Githyanki honed their psionic powers and built a great city called Tunarath. They have since spread throughout the multiverse, starting an outpost outside the astral plane called Kretches, where time passes and their children can reach adulthood. A lanky people with skin tones of yellows, greens, and browns, Githyanki complement their physical prowess with psionic might, instilled in them by mind flayers and cultivated over eons in the astral plane. Now, all Githyanki can use their psychic bond with the plane to access splinters of knowledge left behind by beings who travel, live, and die among the silver astral clouds. And they can live indefinitely. Now, yeah. I see that face.
Indefinitely?
Yeah, so they don't have max ages.
What? So they just don't die of old age?
Yeah, so they were people who were once enslaved by mind flayers and got so powerful psionically that they went to space.
Yeah, and so the Gith inherently are really cool. They're intrinsically tied to Mind Flayers. The whole reason that Mind Flayers haven't taken over the entire universe is because of the Gith. But the Githyanki, at least in the lore described in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, are just as ruthless and militant as the Mind Flayers were, and they sort of have ownership of, like, if you think of space pirates, that's the Githyanki. Like they're just very tough, rough and tumble, whatever. But but you could play one, and you're from space.
See, this kind of makes me, the way they describe it in here makes them feel more like just astral warriors to me. And like the way they bring it up in here, it's like, oh yeah, they're like just the Jedi of the astral plane, you know?
Well, and they definitely don't have to be evil.
Yeah, that's just how they feel to me in the way it's right here. Githzerai very much the same, except they're from Limbo, which is like another part of Forgotten Realms, or like from the multiverse, where everything is just chaotic all the time. I'm almost imagining like a mirror dimension-esque place from the MCU, where you go into Limbo and it's all kinds of different shades of like black and gray, like Shadowfelly, and things are just like floating around. And somehow the Githzerai were strong enough to psionically to tame the chaos a bit and made a city there. So cool. I don't really understand it that well. I'll have to do a little more research on them in general, but I feel as though we'll probably get a lot of these characters in Spelljammer when it comes out, and I'm interested to see and hear more about it.
Yeah, and as far as class features go, they're not super changed. Both were tied to a specific stat, so Githzerai had to be wisdom characters. Githyanki had to be intelligence characters. Now you can do whatever. Additionally, the Githyanki had specific proficiencies with certain weapons, but they've done away with that for astral knowledge. So I think that this is actually pretty cool. You can mystically access a reservoir of experiences of entities connected to the astral plane. When you finish a long rest, you gain proficiency in one skill of your choice and with one weapon or tool of your choice, selected from the player's handbook. These proficiencies last until the end of your next long rest. So every night you can, dream about another specific thing. Say you find an amazing great axe, but I'm not proficient with great axes. Well, now you are, and that's really cool to me. And Githzerai, let's see, they have advantage on saving throws to avoid or end the charmed and frightened conditions on yourself. They also get the shield spell.
They get the shield spell too?
Yeah, inherently.
Yeah, and both have resistance to psychic damage.
Yep. And now you can use your spell slots to cast that as well. So super awesome. Githyanki get jump and Misty Step.
Yeah.
These guys are awesome.
Yeah, they're really cool. I like the flavor of them, and I would love to see one played in Spelljammer as well. I like the idea, and it may honestly having one set off the the course of the events would be very cool too. You know, when we finally get there. So I'm into it. I'm into seeing what we can do with this book in the future of our games. Just because we have so much new content here that wasn't previously explored.
100%, and I know that we're getting close to the end of time here, but the one race that I have to talk about, it's the one I'm always interested in, what they're going to do with it. Yeah, it's the orcs. Original Volo's Guide to Monsters orcs, poopy garbage. They have aggressive, they can bonus action dash towards an enemy, and they had menacing, so proficiency and intimidation, and they're powerful build, so they can carry heavy stuff. They also had a -1 to intelligence, which is just an insult. The Eberron orcs were much improved. Now they have 2 proficiencies of their choice, and they don't have as much power as a half-orc, but they were unique enough that I was actually kind of a fan of them, and they kept the aggressive feature as well. Now, it's no longer called aggressive, but they do have something. It's called Adrenaline Rush. You take the dash action as a bonus action, and you can use this trait a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus. Whenever you use this trait, you gain a number of temporary hit points equal to your proficiency bonus. I think that's pretty cool that they psych themselves up and just run into combat, and they glance off that first hit just because they're so jacked. That's really cool. The thing that I'm a little torn on is they do get Relentless Endurance, which is the best feature of the half orc, but now it's on the full orc. And I don't know what to do with myself.
So what do you play, Zach? The orc or the half-orc?
Yeah, and so for those of you who don't know, of course, Relentless Endurance, when you drop to 0 hit points, you drop to 1 hit point instead. It's really cool. I still think I like half-orcs more, just for the flavor of, well, yeah, I'm half-human and half-orc. And they get their savage attacks, so their crits do more damage. Oh. And they also have the menacing thing. So I think half-orcs are still just edging out.
I like
full
full orcs more. I don't know. I even always saw half orcs as like just as much full orcs. Where like I don't know, just the full orc, I love it.
No, I agree. Playing the fantasy orc is it's not something you ever see. I mean, people play half orcs, but I mean, you're kind of human anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But I want to be a
Like,
full
no one-
orc. I want
no
to
one
all
wants
out.
no one wants to only go halfsies on the orc.
I would like to. I would like to go halfsies on the orc. Yeah. Also, Yuan Tai. We don't have to talk about all their shit, but they used to have immunity to poison damage. Did you know that?
No, now they have resistance.
Now they have resistance.
Cool. Okay.
Immunity to anything is crazy.
Oh, 100%. Also, just to get on my high horse while we're talking about the races in this book, we got shifters. We got changelings. Where are my Warforged at?
I know.
This is
Where are
monsters of the
Warforged?
multiverse. It's everything in the multiverse, and you couldn't think to add the coolest race that exists?
The
I gotta
absolute
pull out my
coolest
Eberron book?
race. Yeah, no, I agree 100% with you. I cannot believe Warforged are not in this book, and that's why this book gets a B- instead.
That's the sole reason.
because there's no Warforged. It could have been a B.
Well, and you know, just talking about the races in this book, if it's just going off the races, I'd give it an A. I love the races in this book overall. There's a couple things that I'm a little wishy-washy on, but you know, they did do my boy Hobgoblin dirty. I'm not gonna lie, but
No,
other than that,
you knocked that down right now without the Warforged.
but I wish it had Warforged.
See, I don't know what to rate this book because I'm confused. I went into it thinking it was a one-stop shop, but then I found out it wasn't a one-stop shop, but also all the races are buffed up, and there's tons of new options for me, but also Spelljammers around the corner with more races like hippo people that I need, and I don't know. There's
For more on
there's
hippo
so
people,
much
check
going
out our
on.
TikTok.
I guess I'll have to give it a B+. It's pretty solid. I really like the ideas and the buffs that they put on the races, but I wanted more.
So that's an average rating of B+, just for anyone out there.
But you know, not to give my opinions away too early, but if we're taking the whole book into account, I give it a B.
Okay.
I'm really not a huge fan of the changes to the monsters, but
I think I'll keep it a
B-.
B-.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's one. I'm not gonna say which one it is. We're gonna talk about it later. But there's one specific monster that I do want to dive into in this book that I'm very, very excited for.
And with that, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of Table Talk Friday, where we discussed Mordenkainen presents Monsters of the Multiverse, but only the Fantastical Races section. I just threw that book right on my bed. And if you would like to follow us anywhere, you can find us on TikTok. We just posted a clip all about hippo people and Drew's fangirling over them. You can follow us on Instagram at Table Talk Friday. Also, the TikTok was at Table Talk Friday. I didn't say that previously. You can send us an email at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com and write into the show. Give us your questions, comments, concerns, anything that you need to talk to us about D&D. Tell us what your favorite races are in the book, or give us some prerequisites and tell us which monsters you want to hear about next week, because there's no way we're talking about all the monsters in this book. We could go on for 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe all day if we did that. Character from the multiverse, please just get us out of here.
Half orc. No, I'm full orc, baby, and you gotta get out of here. You gotta get out of here because I've gone full orc. It's full orc all the time. Full orc, full moon. It doesn't matter. You're gonna get out of here. You better leave because I'm a full orc now, baby.
Thank you for listening to Table Talk Friday. For more information, advice, questions, comments, and concerns, you can email the boys at tabletalkfriday@gmail.com. And if you'd like to tell your own stories, why don't you hit them up there? Send an inquiry or something, a sending spell. Thank you very much for listening, and please follow and come back next week. Goodbye. Bye-bye.